And recording in progress. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Toolbox Tuesday. My gosh, I am super excited. I've been here since January, and this will be the first time that I actually get to say this live. Ladies and gentlemen, Toolbox Tuesday is coming live from Pay Compass headquarters in Phoenix, Arizona. Yes, that's right. I made it here earlier this week. I'm hanging out with the Pay Compass family and looking forward to doing today's session with you live from our headquarters. But enough about me. Let's make it about you. Let's make it about our special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, you joined this call because you are curious about this thing called BillerGenie. You've heard that it integrates with QuickBooks, but maybe you don't know how, or maybe you don't know what it does. Today is a session where you're going to learn more about that. So today's topic, BillerGenie. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce our special guest and my new best friend, Hank Papali. Hank, happy Tuesday, my friend.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. I'm actually in our home office as well here in Orlando. That's why we should be good to go in this room, though. We should be good to go if people hopping in behind me. But I got my Pay Compass gear on. I'm ready to go, guys. I'm excited to be here.
Excited to have you here. I will tell you that from a solutioning standpoint, Hank, I get a lot of inquiries that come in, whether it's a phone call or whether it's an email that comes in. And our agents that are
Yeah.
on the call with us today, they always say the same thing. Man, oh man, Scott, I need a solution that integrates with QuickBooks. I can't
Yeah.
tell you how often that comes up in our conversations. And like I alluded to at the very beginning of the call, folks kind of have an understanding of what BillerGenie is, but we haven't really properly defined it. And Hank, this is where I'm going to hand it off to you. Talk to our friends. What exactly
Yeah.
is BillerGenie and why is it so necessary out in the field?
Well, BillerGenie itself is an accounts receivable cloud-based solution. All right. It's a cloud-based automation. But what's in it for you guys, the folks here on the phone, the ISOs and agents out there, is we're going to be an integration to QuickBooks, right? It's been a thorn in our side for years and years. We've either had to sell around it. Hey, complete. They use QuickBooks. Great. I'm going to run you on a virtual terminal over here. It's not going to talk back to your QuickBooks, but I'm going to save you a bunch of money. Let's talk about that. But you're going to have an extra hour or two of manual dual entry reconciliation over here. That was one way to sell it. And then some along came some of these QuickBooks plugins. You guys might have used some of those throughout the years. We're not going to pick on anyone else, but oftentimes not a reliable sync to QuickBooks. They didn't have the accounts receivable automation to really handle those larger volume, higher invoicing merchants that are going to earn us, the good residuals. Not great support in time. So there was a definite void in the industry where our founders, Tom Aronica and Garima Shah, um, wanted to create a solution. So, by kind of the necessity in this space, always running into QuickBooks merchants and needing a robust solution is really how BillerGenie was founded. And we've quickly grown into the best in class QuickBooks integration in payments. We're processor agnostic, so we welcome for you to write business wherever you want. We just need to connect that gateway in order to get to your payment. And this is what we're here for. How big? I'm going to try to share my screen here. I think I might need permissions. Um,
Let me get you set
but
up as
the
a host. Yep,
yeah,
go
but
ahead.
but the
Go
opportunity,
ahead.
guys, just to kind of give you an outline, and I love this slide, is I'm not going to slide you guys to death either, but I do have a few I want to show you. Oh, I just had it teed up. Where am I at? Bear with me here. Um, let's get this one pulled up. Yes. So in the United States, all right. This is a staggering amount of market share. There's 32 million SMBs in the United States. Okay. If a merchant is using QuickBooks, or excuse me, 83% of the time, if they're using accounting software in the SMB market, they're using QuickBooks. So QuickBooks dominates the market. If you're using accounting software, 83% of the time, it is QuickBooks. Who we're going after, BillerGenie, we're going after the 55% of those that are invoicing their customers for payment. Now, this is going to leave us with 14.5 million of those using QuickBooks, invoicing their customers for payment. And you're not shut out at all within QuickBooks. We have integrations into QuickBooks Online as well as QuickBooks Desktop. In addition to that, we have Xero accounting software as well, Xero. Xero is a competitor of QuickBooks. They're like the major player in Europe, like the QuickBooks of Europe, starting to get more traction here in the United States. So we have you guys about 90% of all the accounting software between QuickBooks Online Desktop and Xero that you're going to see in the SMB market. All right. And we have a seamless integration. Now, let's make this interactive. Let's use the chat. What type of merchants are using QuickBooks and invoicing their customers for payment? What are you guys seeing out there? I'll kick us off. We see pool companies and landscapers all the time. All right. What do you guys have? What do you guys have?
HVAC.
Anyone? HVAC, heating and air conditioning. Yes. What else? Shout them out. It's
Yeah,
my next
agents,
slide.
don't be afraid to come off mute. You can come off mute or you can put stuff in the chat. I'll be keeping an eye on this. Hank, we got another one that was thrown in the chat. Storage facilities.
Storage facilities is another good one. I really, the large concentration of our book as I go to this next slide, these first two columns here, and there's some that we don't even have listed: lawn, pool, pesticide, heating and air conditioning, tile, flooring, roofing, plumbers, electricians, general contractors. Just think about work around your home. You're getting your kitchen remodeled, your closetry done, a fence built around your house, the tree removed in the front yard. If that merchant is above that mom and pop stage of their business, they're not just using Square or Clover to kind of as a standalone invoicing tool. They've graduated to accounting software. They're going to be using QuickBooks and they're going to be invoicing customers for payment. Right. So the largest concentration of our book in BillerGenie, just because there's so many of them, are in these construction, home maintenance type businesses. Just think of like, another big thing, flooring, right? Well, not only flooring in our homes, but like garage flooring these days is a big thing where they're getting that kind of showroom quality floor in people's garages. That's a whole thing. Um, anything you can kind of think of. I'll give you a personal example. 3 months ago, my refrigerator was leaking, right? And we called the guy. He had been in business for 15 years. A hose wasn't plugged into the freezer, whatever it was. That evening, I got a QuickBooks Online invoice, right, with net terms of 15 days or whatever it was, right? So home maintenance, construction services, those are great fits for BillerGenie. And then you get into true B2B stuff, right, guys? Manufacturers, logistics, suppliers, all right? Oftentimes, these guys are sending their goods over to these guys. I'll give you an example. There was a backup here in Florida for shingles last year for the all the roofs. We had all the roof damage from the hurricanes, right? So there was a backup. So I guarantee you the manufacturer was sending it directly to right to the roofer themselves and sending them an invoice, right? It's like a whole ecosystem of QuickBooks users invoicing each other here. Also, I like to point out the professional services. You got lawyers, marketing firms, right? But also CPAs, accountants. And I like to point them out specifically because they're a great merchant and they could be a great referral partner for you guys as well, right? We'll pass the litmus test on features and functionality, all right? And who are their customers? Right? They're doing the books for other merchants that are oftentimes using QuickBooks. So that's where one deal, a CPA and accountant could potentially equal 15, 20, 30 accounts for you and turn into a great referral partner. Any questions here, guys, on the types of merchants, verticals to go after? Any comments, questions? You guys feel pretty good about that? Okay. So we've
And
we've got the target market. We got who to go after, right? Now we got to know the type of profile we're looking for. It's card not present, guys. We're looking for card not present invoicing merchants, right? Using QuickBooks, online desktop or Xero, and invoicing their customers for payment. Larger volume, the better. So 50K or more in processing typically is a great fit for BillerGenie. That doesn't mean you can, you don't want to include those $25,000 merchants or stuff that are smaller. That could be a fit as well. But the rule of thumb is the more volume and the more invoicing, the merrier for a BillerGenie opportunity. If someone is doing 5 invoices a month, they could probably run them over here and manually reconciling back to their QuickBooks, not too much time and effort there. But certainly not if they're doing 50, 100, 200, 300 invoices a month, more than that. Anything they're doing outside of this invoicing process is a manual dual entry time consuming process. So this is the target market. Okay. Now, how does it work? All right. Now I want to put in the detail here, guys. Um, if you want a deeper dive into features and functionality, every day of the week we do a merchant demo webinar. All right. Every day of the week with a varying time slot. So if you have a merchant, that's ideal for them to hear a 20, 30-minute presentation on the features and functionality. They can type in questions and we'll go from A to Z on BillerGenie. That's also great for you guys to join as a training. If you want a deeper dive into the features functionality, join one of those daily merchant demo webinars. We're here to help you guys take deals over the finish line and close business. Also, we will do one-on-one demos for those higher priority merchants. Typically, we like to reserve those for $50,000 or more per month. But if you have something that just absolutely needs a one-on-one demo, you know, a webinar isn't a great style for them, we'll do one-on-one demos and we will close business for you guys. You know they're using QuickBooks, you know they're invoicing their customer. Get them over there. Let us help you guys close business. I want to point out as well that we can be a standalone solution. So if QuickBooks happens to not be in play for whatever reason, they're not using QuickBooks Desktop Zero, all right. BillerGenie as itself can be a standalone invoicing tool with all the bells and whistles that BillerGenie has for when those scenarios may come into play. All right.
And Hank, very
But
quickly, what I want to do
yes,
is I want to talk to our agents and let them know. Everybody, if you take a look into the chat, what I did is I provided you with the link that Hank is referring to. You're going to find that, as he was saying, week after week, all of you have the ability to join these webinars, see what BillerGenie can do. I'm going to highly recommend you bookmark that link, save it for a future date. And as Hank was saying, if at any point in time you find that your merchant needs something a little bit more specialized, a little bit more of a one-on-one, a little bit more hand-holding, just because they may have a high level questions, absolutely. You reach out to us at sales@paycompass.com. We're going to work with Hank and we'll make sure that we get that on the books for you. As a reminder, everybody, with every single Toolbox Tuesday, we want to hear from you. So if you do have questions, by all means, you're going to have an opportunity to come off mute, or if you would like, put your questions into the chat, and we're going to make sure that we get these in front of Hank. Hank, real quick, my man. Okay,
yeah,
going back to the beginning of our call, you made a comment and you said 55% with the invoicing piece. And you said these are the people that we want to go after. So
mhm,
let me just throw this question out there to you. When it comes to our agents qualifying some of these businesses to make sure that they're going to be a good fit, what would you say are some of those questions that they should be asking those merchants when it
yeah.
comes specifically to figuring out is BillerGenie going to be a good fit or not?
Yeah. And I have a very simple email template that I think I could send you to distribute to the team as well. This is very simple. Are you using QuickBooks? Oh, you are? Great. Online or desktop? I'm using QuickBooks Online. Fantastic. Are you invoicing your customers per payment? You are? Excellent. How many invoices per month? What forms of payment are you accepting? Credit card, ACH will be in play quite often, paper checks, right? Cash. That'll lead you right down the list of questions, that what we call qualifying questions, that'll lead you right to that list we were just showing you of the types of merchants that you'll typically see for a BillerGenie opportunity. All right. Now, well, one caveat of that is if they're not using QuickBooks but still invoicing, they want a standalone invoicing tool, perhaps to replace a Clover or Square. Maybe they've outgrown that and need something a little more sophisticated. BillerGenie can be a fit for that as well. Yes. Um,
And I was going to say another question that I did want to throw out there to you. So why is BillerGenie so necessary
yeah,
out in the marketplace? Or I guess a better way to frame the question is, what are the challenges
yeah,
that you're solving? I mean, for the most part, we can kind of
it's a great one.
make some guesses as far as,
Yeah.
you can solve this, this, and this, but there's got to be a little bit more to it. It's not just, hey, look at this, we can simplify invoicing. So why don't you dive into that, Hank?
Yeah, and that's a great tee up for that next slide. What are we seeing out there in the field? Why is this such a need for merchants? Okay. And um, you guys aren't going to believe this. Like if you play in this space a little more often, you're going to run into just layups, easy closes all over the place. You're going to run into merchants that are currently still not using electronic, not emailing invoices out. They're still only using paper invoices and shipping them out. All right. They're only accepting checks and cash. Maybe that's because they've done it like that for the last 20 years, 30 years. Maybe that's because they're trying to avoid the high rates from Intuit payments, the credit card and ACH fees. But you're going to see a lot the dual entry reconciliation. I've hit on a bunch here. All right. A lot of merchants just to save money or just because that's how they've always done it. They had a good sales rep like some of you guys say, hey, I'm going to set you up with a virtual terminal, save you a bunch of money compared to QuickBooks. But you got to manually reconcile those transactions back to QuickBooks, those 200 transactions a month. You don't have to do that anymore with BillerGenie. So dual entry reconciliation, you're going to still see a ton of that out there, guys. And then look, if they have no payment method on file and no ability to do auto pay or recurring payments, the merchant is probably setting themselves back 30 to 45 days how quickly and efficiently they could be getting paid. In this slide right here, excuse me, it's my next slide here, is a really another, I love this one because it really outlines how much of a need merchants need to get paid quickly in the United States. Because right now, 47 days daily sales outstanding is the according to this publication. All right. Typically, it's between 43 and 49 days, depending on what publication you look at. With BillerGenie in our entire portfolio across the board, we have 8 sales outstanding. I know this says 9, it's a year and a half old. We're now down to 8 days. So we're compared to the national average, we are turbocharging how quickly and efficiently these merchants are getting paid. And this is truly what's in it for the merchant. You guys are going to come in there and easily save them money, especially if they're using Intuit QuickBooks. They're going to want to make sure that you're not messing with their accounts receivable process. All right. And we have the stats to prove that, in fact, no, we're turbocharging that compared to the national average. Yeah. So if their only concern is, hey, they'll gladly save money, right? They just want to make sure their process isn't messed up. You know, that's the slide right there to show them, no. We're going to come in here and we're going to help out that process. And Pay Compass is going to hook you up with a much, much better merchant service program than you're getting through Intuit, right? Um, so I really, really like those slides and that kind of idea of what you guys are seeing out there in the marketplace. If you start engaging more and more of these merchants, they're going to tell you all that you're going to be like, how are you doing that? Oh, Aunt Sally in the corner every day goes and gets the mail and she cuts it open and then I got my paper check and we go to the bank and we deposit. That stuff's going on, guys. And in a lot of places still. You see it all the time.
Hank, let me throw this out here to you. I mean, obviously, what
Yeah.
you're doing is you're helping to streamline operations, make things a little bit easier. I mean, some of the examples that you put up on the screen, you were talking about paper invoices, the fact that they're still kind of living in a little bit more of an archaic way of doing business just because it's what they've been accustomed to. The one thing that I want to just kind of drill down on, and you sales agents, okay, this is for your benefit. Matter of fact, you might even have some tips that you can drop on us. But Hank, what I wanted to do is I just wanted to put it out there. When our sales organization, when they're out there in the field talking with these merchants, I mean, it's one thing where they should probably tee it up as far as part of their conversation, digging into those pain points. On average, Mr. or Mrs. Merchant, how long would you say it takes you to get paid? What would you say is like that one threshold, Hank, that's kind of sort of unacceptable, where you guys can come in and you can help to streamline it a little bit quicker? This is how
My
you know that
internet
we're there. You are. Are you there, my friend?
my internet went unstable. I'm sorry, I don't know if it was my end or your end, but I didn't
No worries.
hear, unfortunately, it was choppy.
Okay, well, I can hear you
So
perfectly.
I'm gonna
Go ahead.
I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna try to do create more bandwidth here. What was the question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so what I was alluding to, Hank, is helping some of these merchants that are not getting paid quickly. Obviously, they've been using, systems that have been a little bit outdated for quite some time. To your point, you're talking about, Sally off in the corner, ripping it open the envelope and,
Yeah.
collecting money that way and everything else. But what I want to do is just kind of pose it to you. Like, what do you think is like that line of demarcation where our sales agents can say, whoa, whoa, whoa. If you're not getting paid within X amount of days, then you really should take at the solution.
Yeah.
Take a look at the solution that we can provide to you. Because I mean, obviously, you guys are turning it around much, much
I
faster
think
for.
I think when you ask them, if you just ask them about their process, you have QuickBooks, Great. Are you invoicing out of your QuickBooks? Yeah, we are, but we're not accepting payment out of our QuickBooks. Or no, for whatever reason, we're using a standalone invoicing tool and there's no rhyme or reason. They're not invoicing and they're manually reconciling all those transactions back to QuickBooks. There are very basic qualifications where it just jumps out at you, oh, this is taking you a long time to do. If they have QuickBooks, we want to be operating out of their QuickBooks. This is what BillerGenie is going to help. We're embracing QuickBooks, guys. We are not selling around it. Okay. So, Mr. Merchant, you have QuickBooks. Great. You're going to create that invoice business as usual within your QuickBooks and hit save. And you hit save. BillerGenie picks up on all saved invoices, stores it in BillerGenie, and emails it out to the customer. No additional steps. All right. The customer is going to click view and pay. It will take them to a checkout screen. And this is what's in it for you guys. We're going to connect a gateway. Typically, MX is used a lot for you guys, right? And we're going to connect your merchant services. All right. And or ACH. If you guys write ACH, you're welcome to write that as well. And then after that invoice is paid, it will automatically reconcile back to their QuickBooks. Mark that invoice as paid. So what a lot of competitors out there are trying to do is they're taking them out of their QuickBooks flow. And with BillerGenie, we are not. We want them operating in their QuickBooks like they always have and creating invoices in their QuickBooks and just hit save, not save and send. They create the invoice and hit save, and then we go here, pick it up, grab it, and send out. You guys hook them up with a better program, right? And then it automatically it reconciles back to their QuickBooks and marks the invoice as paid. Full invoice reconciliation. You can imagine if somebody's doing 100, 200 plus invoices outside of that invoicing flow. In other words, they're not using Intuit payments through QuickBooks, right? They're using something else. You can bet dollars to donuts, they are manually reconciling every single one of those transactions back to their accounting software. And that is a time consuming manual dual entry and it leads to errors as well, guys. That can lead to errors, right? It's not just saving the money. If you start doing stuff outside of an automation, it can lead to errors. And I think the big things here on the payment side, Scott, and this is what we talked about when we were saying, well, is there a slide about BillerGenie versus Intuit payments?
Yep.
Yes, we have an awesome slide here, which I'm going to share as well. What if you run into a merchant? This will be an objection. They're going to tell you, hey, I am using QuickBooks. All right. And I'm invoicing out of my QuickBooks, but I'm also using Intuit Payments, right? That's QuickBooks preferred vendor, right? They're using, so in that scenario, that's QuickBooks through and through. They're using QuickBooks the invoice and they're using Intuit Payments. All right. So what are we going to do? We're going to walk away? No, right? We're salespeople. So a couple the things listed here we're going to go through, but most importantly, I think that is not a listed feature. All right. Number one, you are a merchant service expert. You know merchant services. Now, if a merchant has an issue with QuickBooks and they'll just give you an eye roll like, I'm just going to figure it out on my own. They're not calling Intuit Payments or QuickBooks and getting in a virtual queue or offshore support, right? And that isn't going to be the case when they call you guys about merchant services or when they call BillerGenie right from the get-go. We are screen sharing, we are training them, and we are holding their hand. They are not getting that same experience when they're dialing up QuickBooks payments, if they're even willing to do that, right? Most of the time, they just try to figure it out on their own. But features that are represented here, oops, I just stopped the share. Features that are represented here, guys, and these are big in the payments world. You guys know it. Level 2 and level 3 optimization. You're going to run into a lot of those purchasing cards in this world, those kind of things. Level 2 and level 3. QuickBooks does not have that. Intuit does not have that. BillerGenie does built into all of our gateways. So you get level 2 and level 3 optimization. In addition, we have compliant surcharging available as well as dual pricing. All right. So however you choose to write the sale, you have the ability, both options within BillerGenie. Now, why that is important is because these merchants, you guys know, want to offset the credit card fees. And right now, what they're doing is kind of talking to the customer, oh, you're going to pay by credit card? Okay. And then they're manually going back into their invoice. They're adding a line item and then sending it out to the customer again. That is a clunky manual back and forth, not compliant process, right? With BillerGenie, it is just a toggle of a button, boom. And now you can have compliant surcharging, or now you can have dual price. All right. And then the level two and level three. From the payments perspective, all right, these are huge, guys. They're already paying an arm and a leg for QuickBooks payments anyway. And not only on top of that, you guys can do level two and level three, and you have the ability to automate and offset the credit card fees. That's huge. I mean, those are big ones, right? Branded invoices is also interesting, guys, because our invoices, when they get sent out, are just going to look and feel like it's coming from that merchant and their business. The ones from QuickBooks, if you ever look at them, they have the green border. They do have a logo, but it also has all those other products and services that they're pitching the merchant and their customers. For example, like loans, they're essentially operating like a financial institution. Okay? He was dragging his feet from it's the Intuit ACH descriptor list, which every bank can pull. If they pull the Intuit ACH descriptor list, they can give that to the partner and they can just dial through all those QuickBooks merchants. But anyway, this guy was kind of dragging his feet. What's in it for me? Well, while he was doing that, he lost a $150,000 loan opportunity that QuickBooks gave directly to that merchant. All right. That the bank didn't have an opportunity because they weren't engaging that QuickBooks merchant, right? It was already a warm lead at the bank. So that's kind of stuff's going out there all the time. So I think it's important what our invoices, when they get sent out, are going to look and feel like it's coming from that merchant and their business. And then look, the ability to enable auto pay on the merchant side in multiple stored payment methods is huge, right? They have credit card, ACH, enable auto pay right there on the merchant dashboard on the merchant side. And all this is included in our plug-in plan of $24.95. All right. And one other feature I want to point out here is that recently we added a mobile application to BillerGenie. We added a mobile app. So this is much, much better in the field rather than having, we were always a web browser, but rather than having it on your phone and kind of having to move it and fit it to the screen, we now have a mobile web application. They can click on a QR code and just take them right to the checkout screen. You can copy and paste the link and text it to the customer right there. So if you're loading up your truck and you want to get a payment while before I leave, oh, here, just click the QR code, boom, and make the payment while I'm loading up the truck, stuff like that. So that mobile web version in the field is now available. All right. What currently is not available, all right, which we should have it by the end of the year, is like a tap to pay or a click to like type solution in the field. All right. Currently not available, but we're going to be adding on to that mobile in the field version for those field service reps that are out there. All right. But the QR code and the ability to text right there is all there in the mobile version. Really. All right.
I'm glad that you mentioned that too. So what I want to do right now, Hank, is I just want to put it on pause for just a little bit. Sales agents, I want to throw it out to you. I'm sure you have questions. And like I said, man, oh man, we do get a lot of emails and phone calls from you guys. Scott, I need something with a QuickBooks integration. If you're curious, love to hear from you. You can come off mute or you can put your questions in the chat. Hank will take a very quick pause, see if anybody has any questions. And then I have a few questions for you, Hank.
All right. One thing I'll just mention in terms of ACH
Please.
while you guys are thinking of some questions is for example, on the MX gateway, we have an integration to credit card as well as ACH. So ACH is in play a lot in this world. So by all means, write the ACH if you can if it's not a pain in the rear end to do the application and you can make some money on your residuals. Because if you don't, internally, BillerGenie will write the ACH just to accommodate the merchant's needs, and you're not going to get a rev share on that. So if there's an opportunity and you guys want to write it, I never wrote ACH when I was in the field. 15 years, I never wrote ACH, but I also didn't play in this space like, a lot. So this is ACH is prevalent. It's in play a lot. And you guys have the opportunity through, for example, I used MX to write credit card and ACH. That comes up
So,
quite a bit.
Hank, real quick question for you on that one. When you say
Yeah.
writing the ACH, so until let's say connected to either Paya or ACH.com, can we just do that directly via BillerGenie? Is
Yep.
that something we
So
have the option to do?
So when you submit a deal to us, it's a one page, what we call rapid onboarding form. And those credentials For example, NMI calls it a security key. calls it a source key and pin. Whatever companies, the ACH, the gateways call it a different name. I can't think of what MX calls it, but the bottom line is those credentials are connecting us to your merchant services and or ACH. And that's all you need to do. On that one
Okay.
page form, you're putting the gateway credentials.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question. So I was looking at the pricing and it says
Yeah.
that the interchange optimization, somehow you guys are using PayVault, is that right?
Um, no, when you get into the development of the different gateways, I think NMI, USE pay, and I'm not going to name other competitors out there, but we have direct integrations into almost 20 gateways. I'm not sure if the terminology is the same on all of them, but the long and short of it is the level 2 and level 3 optimization, either from BillerGenie or on the gateway side, except Blue is another one. It's in play for all of our gateways. And
So I mean it's already
we
built in, or do you have to integrate, or is PayVault used to do that?
again, for each of the gateways, there are a gateway guide that we can supply you, and it'll tell you essentially what boxes to check to enable level 2 and level 3 to set it up.
Yeah, and I guess probably the easiest way to define it, especially when it comes to PayVault, PayVault is our white labeled version of a VT environment.
Okay.
So on the back end, when you log into PayVault itself, that gateway is Accept Blue. So to tie into what Hank was talking about is the different gateways, Accept Blue, NMI. You can pretty much just kind of look at our instance, PayVault, as Accept Blue. So that's one of the approved gateways. And
Ben
hopefully that helps.
Friesch, Ben Accept Blue's founder, he literally wrote my gateway guide that I give out to you guys. So if it's a white labeled version of that, that's the one you guys would use when setting that up.
I see that we got another question in the chat. What is the BillerGenie app called? Is it actually called BillerGenie? And so what is it, Hank?
What I couldn't hear that. What was that? What is what?
What is the BillerGenie mobile app called? Is it actually called BillerGenie?
Yeah, it's not, to be clear, it's not in the app store. It's you could just
There we go.
download it to your desktop or you can download it to your phone as well. So um it's not in the app store.
Okay, and
It
for
just
the
has like a
most
Biller
part,
Genie little icon. Yeah.
yeah. So for the most part, it's safe to assume it's a separate link that can be sent to the customer. So if they're interested in downloading the app, they can tap on the link and then it would begin the download process, correct?
Yeah, yeah. And typically, that's in play during the training. We're going over that right there. Hey, on your desktop, download the app. Also do it on your phone and you're good to go. It can be done very quickly. Yep.
The mobile app, you caught my interest when you and I were planning out this session
Hmm.
because I was like, all right, there's something I didn't even know. So I am excited about it. Let's talk about instances where the mobile app can benefit a business out in the field. I
Yeah.
mean, in my head, I'm sitting here thinking, gosh, those construction companies, the HVAC, those landscapers. So I'm assuming that those are probably the businesses that will benefit from it. But what is the best way for them to utilize it when they do have access to it?
Yeah, I think it's more of a convenience thing. To be clear, you could always have forever, you could log into your phone web-based to BillerGenie, but then you're kind of like turning your phone, you're pinching it and making it wider and stuff like that. What the mobile app really does is just give you a quick, you click on it, you got the QR code that just pops up. Hey, just scan this. Now you don't have to go find the invoice that's in your email. Boom, it's going to pop up right to your phone. Or let me just copy and paste the link here, and I'm going to literally text it to you right now. You got your phone in front of you. I'm going to text it to you right now. So it's really, again, a convenience thing. All right. That we didn't have before, where you can just do it from your web-based from your phone, but it was more like you were kind of expanding and, doing those kind of things. I think that's the biggest advantage there. There's a check component too as well, and we haven't talked about checks, but essentially they can scan their check, a paper check now, not ACH, a paper check, and upload that and pay like that right there from the mobile version as well. So that's cool. And that's really cool as well.
Um, I got to tell you, Hank, some of the things that have been the recurring themes with
Mhm.
everything that you've shared about BillerGenie, the efficiency, eliminating the need for a lot of manual data entry, eliminating errors.
Yes.
Probably, you know, the manual process, I think, is the biggest thing that really sticks out to me. Even the fact that just a few minutes ago you shared that there are business owners that want to do like the dual pricing or the
Yep.
surcharging, and they're going through the trouble of creating a line item and adding a percentage to it. I mean, there's something that they could set themselves up for a huge accounting error, could they not? Never mind the fact that it's not
They
compliant.
could set it not compliant. The accounting errors is the big one. And um, that manual back and forth is just not a good process, right?
Right.
It's just clunky. It's kind of awkward. If we were doing a one-on-one demo, we've talked about the webinars. We do webinars and one-on-ones. When we do one-on-ones, you literally sometimes get oohs and ahs when the merchants see that checkout screen, knowing what they've been doing in the past is, hey, you paying by credit card? Oh, okay, I'm going to go back in and add a line item for 3%. Like they go, oh my goodness, now they don't have to do any of that anymore. If the ball's in the customer's court, I'm adding 3%. You want to pay by credit card, get your Sky Miles? Great, you can do that. If not, you could pay by ACH with no additional fees, and if all else fails, they can mail in a check. We want to avoid checks, but like to have that option where you're eliminating that back and forth, and now it's an efficient thing for 100, 200 invoices a month, it's a real game changer. And it's such a simple little uh, feature that we've had for the last 3 years now. But QuickBooks just doesn't have, they don't have it. If you've ever received the QuickBooks Online, yeah, I'm being recorded, but there's a lot of non-compliant things going on out there. I've received a bunch. I've received
Yeah.
a bunch of them.
If you would have given me a cue, I would have turned off the recording, but
No, yeah. I've got, long story short, you're not supposed to add fees to, ACH fees and stuff like that. It's against NACHA regulations. And I've received personally QuickBooks Online invoices where a fee is being added to all sorts of stuff for different forms of payment. But anyway,
yeah,
um, I do want to point out, and I think it's important, for the
please.
first 30 days, the plug-in plan is $24.95. All right. And it's actually everything we talked about: auto pay, dual price, surcharging, full invoice reconciliation back to QuickBooks. For the first 30 days, they have a premium trial where they can test drive premium features. Okay. The two headlining premium features would be a customer portal. That is now where a customer can log in somewhere and see all their historical paid invoices. They can make bulk payments on several invoices in one spot. We have a full-on customer portal. QuickBooks does not have that at all. Okay. And the other headlining premium feature is reminders. Now, in fairness to QuickBooks, they do have reminders. They can send out like 3 different types of reminders. The way BillerGenie has it built out is uh, it's just to a whole nother level. They can send out hundreds of reminders, getting more and more aggressive and mad as they continue to age and they get more and more past due. It's fully customizable on a per customer level. The way we have built out reminders, the merchant doesn't even have to lift a finger. It's just running on autopilot. So there's a couple other minor premium features, but those would be the two, I would say, headlining premium features where in those first 30 days, customers are clicking a button and upgrading 40% of the time. All right. And premium pricing is $69.95 and 0.5% of all volume we collect. 50 basis points, guys. And there's no gotcha here. They are electing to upgrade to 69.95 and 50 basis points because that's when you know you're really adding value. Like, this isn't like there's 50 other products out there like that. They know the time and effort and all that stuff that's going on behind the curtain in their business. And they're evaluating, okay, do I stay in the plug-in plan, 24.95? In those 30 days, they're evaluating if they're going to upgrade to premium. And they have to click a button and upgrade after 30 days. If they don't upgrade, they just stick on the 24.95 plan and they lose those
395.
premium features. That's how
Yeah.
it's evaluated. There's a couple other premium features, but those are the two headlining ones. Customer portal is huge, and reminders are typically 35% of the upgrades when they do. It's because of those two. But I want to be
Um,
clear about that. There's another like a premium program out there. No
right.
contracts ever with BillerGenie on plugin or premium.
Yeah, but it's not a bad expectation for any of our
No.
sales agents to set up with the merchant when they say, "Hey, look, I'm setting you up with this offering called BillerGenie, just so you're aware, Mr. or Mrs. Merchant, within those first 30 days, you're going to have access to all of these features. If you decide that, man, oh man, I can't live without these, okay, great. Let me be upfront with you and say your billing is going to be 69.95 per month. However, if you don't need something so robust, 24.95. Hank, I wrote this down because this is something I want to make sure that I have clarity on just for my own edification. You
Yeah,
said with one of the premium features, customers can log in to see their history and everything else. By definition, it's the business owners, customers that are logging in to see their payment history, set up payments and everything else, correct?
that's correct. The merchant portal is where the merchant would log in on the BillerGenie side. They have that available.
They
They
have that
need that,
available.
right?
Yeah.
And this is a customer portal, a full on. We're now the customer rather than a guest checkout experience. We're just clicking view and pay. They can now log in somewhere regularly and see, like in our personal lives, if you ever logged into your medical, customer portal kind of thing. Yeah.
Since
I had a
that,
question in the chat about
yes, is
ACH,
ACH included in the 24.95 monthly billing?
like the ability to accept ACH. In other words, they're going to get an ACH bill and they're going to get a merchant service bill, but the ability to accept ACH is included in the 24.95 plan. Does that make
Yeah.
you with me on that?
I'm going
Okay.
to say to the agent that asked the question, if you need more clarification on it, you can either come off mute or you can just ask another question in the chat. All right. So this ability for the business owners, customers to log in, complete history,
Yeah.
set up their payments and everything else. What are those industries? Who are some of those businesses that our sales agents should be thinking about where their customers
Yeah.
would love to have that kind of a portal? Who should they be
Anyone,
thinking about?
I think it's obviously the most effective for repeat customers, regular customers. So lawn, pool, pesticide, you're getting quarterly pesticide, like any of those type of industries. Um, um, uh, store like storage facilities was mentioned earlier. I'm a customer, you're billing me monthly. I might want to check that up. Landlords, stuff like that. Anyone with a regular customer base, I think is the most, especially for years and years and years, they would love to have that archive paid invoices historically, or customers with multiple open invoices at the same time. Okay, so rather than having to go find my invoice for this invoice number 101 and invoice number 110, they're all in one location where I can just see them all there, toggle them all on, and make a bulk payment, or just select the ones that I want to pay. Anyone with multiple open invoices or regular customers. Now think about this from the merchant side as well. I'm a customer. Hey, can you send me last October, last February, and last May's paid invoices, the ones I've already paid? I'm looking to submit a claim for whatever, right? I'll give you an example. Like I called up my dog veterinarian to submit an insurance claim, and I had to do this exact same thing. If I had a customer portal I could just pull them from, I would have just logged in, right? So oftentimes this avoids the noise and all that time that is just wasted on the merchant side by their employees having to field that calls where they can just direct them back to the customer portal.
So, Hank, what I'm hearing from you is this is an opportunity for our sales organization to dig in deep with some of those pain points with a merchant. How often would you say that your employees are receiving phone calls or receiving emails where your customers are asking for historical data? How much time do you think your employees are losing every time one of your customers makes those requests? I mean, there's a lot of ways that our friends on this call can position this and dig into those pain points to identify that BillerGenie is going to be the right solution.
I'll give you a good example there. I had a merchant, this is about a year and a half ago. He upgraded from 24.95 per month to $1,500 per month. That's considered a max billing customer. If you're doing $300,000 a month for BillerGenie on premium, 300 grand at a 0.5% is $1,500. We cap billing at $1,500 That's as a side note. All right. He upgraded. He didn't have any issues collecting money. He needed none of those other bells and whistles we had during premium. He just didn't want to have his staff, which he said was several hours a day, getting drowned with all these calls that they could just now have in the customer portal. And it was paid invoices historically that for whatever reason, there was a lot of those type of calls coming in. All that noise would now be gone. And he's like, I'm up just for that one feature. And I was like, wow, 24.95. He didn't need reminders. They paid on time. None of that stuff. He was like, no, I need the customer portal because I know my people are getting drowned with those type of calls. I was like, wow, all right. So they upgraded. So you never again, I stick to plugin typically unless a merchant brings in a premium feature. If they're good to go on plugin, I'm not going to just start feature dumping reminders in a customer portal if they don't bring it up during that sales process. You guys have a sale, they needed surcharging, they needed auto pay, they needed ACH. Great. We have all that on the 24.95 plan. Don't start getting in all these other features, right? Stick to script, you have a sale. I would do the same thing on a demo. However, if somebody kind of asks you, hey, I'd really like a place for my customers to log in, is there anything, do you have anything like that? They're asking you for a customer portal. Then you go down that talk track. Oh, not only do we have this, we also have reminders if you ever pass to, and this thing will just run on autopilot for you. Also, late fees is another premium feature. Not as prevalent, but that's also something that's sometimes in reminders and late fees, and that's premium as well. But that's kind of how I approach the sales process in a demo, sticking to 24.85 because I know they'll have that premium trial to discuss with the account managers anyway. But if they interject a premium feature, I'm sure as heck going to talk about that one they want and then drive home some of the value of the other premium stuff as well.
So Hank, I think you and I covered a lot of ground today. What I want to do is I want to be fair to our audience because I know it looks like we got about 10 minutes left. So to you, the sales agent, we want to hear from you. We always set these up so that it helps you to learn, understand what these products are about, so that you can get your talk tracks nailed down and have impactful conversations with all of your merchants. So we're going to open it up. You can either just come off mute, don't even have to raise your hand, or if you would like, just throw your questions into the chat.
I would say this, guys, always ask too. I know a lot of you guys are retail restaurant folks. Restaurants, they might have a catering business. That catering business is going to be sending out invoices, right? So you never know who is going to be using QuickBooks and invoicing, right? So the restaurant is always the one that, hey, don't just because we're not a front of the house swiping at the card solution, but oftentimes they'll have a catering business, they will be invoicing out of that as well. So, yeah, any questions, guys? We got anything? Verticals?
You got the band on the call with you here, so go ahead. Hank, was there something else you wanted to share?
No, I want to encourage you guys to utilize the resources I have. The partner success team will do demos for you guys. All right. They're using QuickBooks, they're invoicing. They weren't ready to move forward unless they saw a live demo. Remember, we have the merchant demo webinar every day. And we'll do one-on-one demos. We have a team here that wants to help you guys take deals over the finish line. We are completely partner driven. We're not competing against you. I don't have an inside sales team calling out. So if we don't do right by you guys don't keep coming and submitting more and more business. And we've been fortunate to be in Inc. 5000 last year. And then again this year, number 27, we moved up like 200 spots. And that's all because our partners like us and keep sending us more business. All right. So please utilize us. We want to get you, if you haven't submitted a deal yet, try your first one and we'll try to do a demo and help you close it.
I see a great question in the chat that says, those live demos, are they for different business types?
Are they for different business types? Well, anybody can join. Yeah, like the daily merchant demo webinar is everyone shows up, they're muted, and they can type in questions. Just literally, for PNC, I host every Tuesday, 11 a.m. Thursday at 4 p.m. I think we already got 2 deals from the 11 a.m. Eastern webinar that they were all on, and everyone was muted. And they were just typing in questions. We got from A to Z, features, functionality, answer questions, and they close. But we'll do that, and we'll do the one-on-ones. But the point I'm trying to make is all walks of life can join, all different types of business types, all different
But is
types.
it, are they different businesses, each live demo? Is it a different type of business or is it always the
No,
same business?
it's it's always the same webinar that we're doing.
Oh, okay.
Yep. More or less. I mean, we'll skew off to different features based on the questions that we're receiving, right? So we're doing our normal thing. And by the way, sometimes in a webinar, guys, it's better to have them muted. You guys know how merchants are, right? So you're controlling, and you're going to get to a lot of those questions anyway. So you can just pick your spots to when you want to pause and take the question. So sometimes, believe it or not, the webinar is more effective than literally doing a one-on-one because you have that control.
And even then, the recommendation too, and everybody, as a reminder, if you take a look in the chat, I did include the link so that either yourself, if you want to learn more about BillerGenie, or if you want to set up one of those live demos that Hank is talking about, take advantage of that link. But Hank, to that point though, let's say one of our sales agents brings one of their prospects or one of their current merchants onto one of those live demos.
Yeah.
Merchants sitting there, they're typing in their questions, but even when the call is over and that merchant goes, it was good. I had an opportunity to ask my questions. They answered those in the chat, but I have more questions.
Yeah.
It's quite okay for our sales agents to reach out to us on the sales support side and just book that follow-up demo so that you can do like that one-on-one with that particular merchant or prospect.
Absolutely. I think it's a good precursor to any one-on-one demo, just so they have a good feel for it and they know what they're getting into when they get to the one-on-one. But yeah, by all means, absolutely. If there's something we need to get into more beyond that, just then a few follow-up questions, and we need to get into a one-on-one, let's do it. If you think it's worth everybody's time, let's do it.
Just want to make sure we point out that you are readily available to assist if there are questions after those
Oh
live
yeah.
demos. To you, the audience, I'm going to throw it back out to you one more time, and we're going to wrap it up, and I'll see you all again next week. So one more opportunity. Questions. Come off mute, get them out there, or if you would like, you can type them into the chat. 5 more minutes. We still have Mr. Hank Papali on the call with us here, so say what you got.
We might be good. Everyone's ready. We're ready to go?
Whenever there's silence, we go, oh my gosh, we did our job correctly. We just blew them away, and they're just like, wow, I have no questions. You guys did so well. Gosh. But with that said, obviously to you, our sales agents, even later on today, you might have a question that pops up. You might say, man, I missed my window. I should have asked this question during the webinar. Just know that you can always reach out to us, sales@paycompass.com. Give us your questions. We'll make sure we get those answered. Looks like I may have another, oh, actually not a question. Actually, we got kudos, my friend. Look at that. Great
Oh, thanks,
presentation
Dave.
and info. So thank you very much. Domo
Guys, I
arigato.
love Pay Compass. I love what you guys are doing. Agent first. You guys are doing things the right way. Uh, Justin and Amy, and if I was there, I think when they submitted the first deal to Priority Payments, I recruited them as an ISO to Priority. All right. So the first deal I think with Pay Compass that came through Priority, I recruited them, and I was um, thrilled to see how big this thing has grown, doing things the right way, you know, and what you guys are a part of is really exciting. All right. And, I'm just proud to sort of be associated with that, earlier on. And now at my current role, working with you guys again. So keep it up. If it's a deal here and there, guys, our arms are open. If it's more frequent than that, even better. But we just want to make sure that if this stuff comes across your desk, that you have a good home that you can feel comfortable with to submit a deal here at BillerGenie, and just appreciate the support over the years, and go get them. Have close April strong here.
And just the fact that we're closing it out with you mentioning that there has been a rich history between BillerGenie and Pay Compass over the past few years. I mean, if nothing else, folks, it just solidifies that these are quite possibly our greatest allies, and they can help you close a lot more of your deals too. So as we begin to wrap up, get ready to turn off the recording, get ready to cut you guys loose. But before I cut you loose, let's give some love to Hank Papale from BillerGenie. Hank, thank you for making the time, hanging out with us on a Tuesday morning. We appreciate it, and we're looking forward to working with you and closing more deals very soon, my friend. Oh, look at that. You're getting the love on the screen. There you go, my man.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it. And yeah, I said what I said. Huge Pay Compass fan. Love what you guys are doing. Love the people. Just a good group. And keep doing it. Keep growing. And thank you for the time today. Thank you so much.
Excellent. And Hank, thank you for joining us. And to you, our sales agents, as always, if you need some
Hi,
help,
Chad.
you want to reach
Later, buddy.
out to us on a pre-sales level, just give us a shout, sales@paycompass.com. Until we meet again, friends, I will see you next week on Tuesday, 1 o'clock Eastern. We're going to do our coffee with closers, but until then, whatever you need, let us know what the obstacle is. We'll have to get it moved out of the way. Make it a great day, everybody. Thank you.